Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada or Dandavat Pranams, depending on which mat or sangha you're in. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you to those of you who continue to follow this Facebook page, to like what we're doing, to put positive comments, and to follow the Hare Krishna project. Believe it or not, February, which is just in a few weeks' time, is the second, mark the second anniversary, or the second birthday of the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast. Many of you will know that I never intended to do a podcast. It wasn't part of my plan or something I thought I had time to do, and some other devotees said, Narada, we think you should do a podcast. The podcast came about. I thought I'd do about 10 episodes. We're now fast approaching our 50th episode. I've just recorded the 49th episode with a devotee based in the UK. She has a very, very important role in ISKCON in London. I won't say much about her at the moment because the advertising will start next week. And I have a guest lined up for the 50th episode, which takes place in February, the second anniversary of the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast. You know, over the last 50 episodes, it's been absolutely phenomenal and quite humbling, actually, to meet so many devotees from not just across the UK, from across the world. We've really touched on some really, really important issues in the kind of Gaudiya family, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava family. We've talked about kind of child protection. We've talked about LGBT issues. We've talked about trans issues. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about trauma. We've talked about general projects, things that we're involved with, our backgrounds, our hobbies, our interests. Because as Hare Krishna devotees, yes, we have this desire for kind of spiritual knowledge, spiritual information. We love to, I hope, chant Hare Krishna, live a devotional life, but also, I have to say, as a normal human being, I have other interests as well. I'm interested in things in the world. So the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast has looked at devotees as normal people, whatever that means, and looking at our likes and our dislikes and our background and the things that we're interested in. So I've just recorded the 49th episode, which is coming out next Friday night. And then the 50th episode, I have a big guest lined up for that, will be broadcast probably around the first week of February. You would have noticed we've only done 50 episodes over 2 years. I'm pretty proud of that, but not as many as other podcasts. As you know, the Hare Krishna project, as well as producing a podcast, we do lots of other things as well. So we also run a national preaching tour every year. We organised around 20 events across the UK last year and in other parts of Europe as well. And we've now almost put together our 2023 schedule. So we do a national preaching programme. We organise Hare Krishna festivals, events, kirtans. We produce news and media content for national media such as the BBC, ITV, Thought for the Day. So we're busy doing those types of things as well. And also, over the last year, we've kind of become a kind of advice network or an advice line for devotees. A lot of devotees now get in touch with us here at the Hare Krishna project to ask for kind of advice and support when they're dealing with issues, certainly within ISKCON and other mats as well. And we're always happy to offer that advice and support where and when we can. So what are our plans for 2023? We've got some big plans lined up. Let me just list them very briefly. The first thing is we're going to be putting together our first ever website. The Hare Krishna project, we have lots of information in different places online, and we're putting together a website. We've received some grant funding to develop a website, so we will be paying somebody. So soon we'll put out that proposal here online. We'll be looking to pay someone. So any web developers, any web creators out there, send us your ideas, send us your thoughts. We will be looking to pay someone to put together a website for the Hare Krishna project. And all the content that we produce will be hopefully put onto that one website as well as on social media. So there's one source of information, there's one place you can go to see all the events that we organise. So there'll be a calendar of events where you can look at the Hare Krishna festivals, kirtans, public talks that we organise around the UK. Secondly, all of our podcasts will be uploaded to that website, so you can click just once to look at all the podcasts we produced over the last 2 years. Also, we will be uploading some of that kind of historical information that we found when we were researching and putting together the book, The Hare Krishnas in Britain. As you know, members of our team here at the Hare Krishna project, we spent about 2 years researching the history of the Hare Krishna movement here in the UK, which actually goes back as far as 1902, not 1965, and not 1932, actually 1902. All of that information as to why it goes back that so long is in my book, The Hare Krishnas in Britain. And then the third thing we're going to be doing this year is continuing some of that research that we've been doing on Gaudiya Vaishnavism here in the UK. There's one particular strain of research that we really want to look into. I realise I'm about to contradict myself now, because this actually doesn't particularly relate to the UK, but it does relate to the Hare Krishna movement in the Western world, the Gaudiya tradition in the Western world. Many of you would have heard of, if you've read my book, or if you've read other places online, you would have heard of a devotee called Baba Premananda Bharati. So Baba Premananda Bharati, we believe, was the first ever practitioner of Krishna consciousness who came to the UK in 1902. And he worked briefly for a London newspaper. So he stopped in London and in Paris on his way to the United States to preach Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And it became kind of apparent recently when chatting with another devotee. We were talking about the first devotees in the Western world, and we were talking quite a bit about those devotees in the 1930s. If you read the chapter in my book, The History of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the UK, you can read all about Daisy Botal, Arnold Korbluth, Hilda Korbel, some of those first converts in the 1930s. But we soon realised actually there might have been a number of converts to Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the United States in 1904. Baba Premananda Bharati set up something called the Society of Krishna in 1904 to share Krishna consciousness. And it could have possibly been that he attracted a number of followers or converts. So there's a possibility it would mean members of our team going to the United States to really do some ground research on this. It could be that the first devotees to Krishna, Western converts to Krishna consciousness, were actually as far back as 1902, 1904. So if we have the time and we get some funding for this, we're looking into doing some research on that here in 2023. So thank you to everyone who continues to follow the Hare Krishna project. We're soon to celebrate or mark the second anniversary of the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast. Thank you to those of you who have really kind of contributed to some of those big issues that we have talked about over the last 2 years, such as child protection, LGBT issues, trans issues, and various other things. We're putting together a website soon. We're putting out a tender. We have some funding to pay someone to put together a website for the Hare Krishna project, and we will soon be kind of continuing with our 2023 preaching tour. We're looking at the moment at events in Scotland, in Wales, in Ireland. And also, I cannot say too much about it at the moment because it's early days. We have been invited to take part in a new album, a new devotional music kirtan album at a recording studio at an undisclosed location in the UK to put together a new album for anyone who wants to listen to it, kind of some devotional songs. Kind of kirtan songs. So, thank you to everyone who continues to tune in. Hare Krishna, and a belated Happy New Year.